counselor, demonologist, adjudicator, messenger, and lover to this girl that, looking back now, had no interest in me whatsoever. She would many times get me to listen to her cry about something her boyfriend or somebody she liked or slept with did, and I would comfort her. To be honest, my own foolishness shocks me till today. I will have to just be honest. Every time I tell this story, people laugh. They always laugh. I can't laugh because I don't see what's funny. I mean, like, this is stupid. My name is Akinolu, and my testimony is titled Progress to Perfection. I titled it that. My entire life, my family has been very Christian. I'd like to say I was raised in the ways of the Lord, and from an early age I had learned to imbibe them. God was no stranger to me. I had been taught quite well to know Him. So what's the testimony? Okay, let's get there. I won't brag, but from a young age I've always been rather intelligent. God gave that one to me. In fact, my mother said that she had lost 2 children, one to a miscarriage and one that died after birth before they had me. So she told me once that God helping me in life was her being repaid for the children that she had lost before I came along. Most people spend 5 or 6 years in primary school. I spent 3. I got into secondary school at 8 years old, and the principal almost didn't admit me, saying I wouldn't cope. 1 year later, I was the 3rd best student graduating from JS1. She ate her words. A similar thing happened when I was admitted into the university. I got in on merit, but according to my HOD, the VC would have to approve because I was too young. The Lord helped me with that one, and I got into school. Don't ask me how old I am. Just don't. A major drawback of all this fast tracking was that my heart could not mature nearly as much as my brain did. I was in school much younger than everybody in my class and a lot more naive. Being the younger person, I was prone to seeking validation and approval a lot. The God I knew, He was there, He wanted to help, but I began to treat Him more like that friend that you call on once in a while so you wouldn't feel abandoned. I would try and talk about God in a few discussions here and there, but it would mean very little because my friends knew me to be just like them. I swore a lot. I followed girls around carelessly. I'll talk more about this further in the testimony. I listened to all kinds of ungodly music, once again, further in the testimony. Behaved carelessly on social media and all other kinds of foolishness. My early years in university were hell. Let me just put it like that. I didn't know they were hell at the time, but they were. Now, there are a good number of stories to tell in this regard, this following women thing. But I'll tell about one particular girl that I think to be rather important. For the sake of this testimony, I'll just call her Jane, because I don't want to have to keep saying that girl. So I met Jane very early in my first year. My problems quite literally materialized the first day I saw her. So I fell in love, at least that's what I thought it was at the time. I had been attracted to other girls before, but I knew this one was different. I just knew. Now, I was very young and I had not learned the evil methods of how to chase girls. I had not learned it yet. I learned it later, but I had not learned it at the time. So I did what most children always do. I became clingy. She did not like it. I did not care. I used to write a lot of poetry between my first and third years. A lot of those poems were about Jane, assuming they were not about sadness and death. But funny enough, I used to write about God a lot. There was a whole series I used to do. I used to call it Master. So I used to write about God and Jesus Christ a lot in that period. But the majority of the poems were about Jane. Naive as I was and seeking approval, I was very prone to being taken advantage of. She did not miss that, and she took full advantage of it. As a love-struck puppy, I did everything this girl wanted. Brethren, I did very stupid and embarrassing things that I could list, but please forgive me because I would still like to look most of you in the face after this. So I became sponsor, therapist, counselor, demonologist, adjudicator, messenger, and lover to this girl that, looking back now, had no interest in me whatsoever. She would many times get me to listen to her cry about something her boyfriend or somebody she liked or slept with did, and I would comfort her. To be honest, my own foolishness shocks me till today. I will have to just be honest. Every time I tell this story, people laugh. They always laugh. I can't laugh because I don't see what's funny. I mean, like, this is stupid. I would let her be in my room for days and basically take care of her while she was moving with other guys. I would say she was Delilah. But even Delilah stayed with Samson for the largest extent. She wasn't moving around. It was Samson. She had to stay with him to kill him. She used to do a lot of drugs, especially marijuana. That's weed. Apparently, she suffered from depression and severe anxiety. She was dealing with a lot of demons. She almost got me to doing marijuana one day, something till now I can't stand the smell of it. Forget that it's bad and it's incense to Satan. I just can't stand the smell. I hated it. But God in his kindness, I almost did it with her, something I did not like the smell of because I was following a woman. But God in his kindness did not allow that arrangement to pan out. I could talk about the immorality segment of this my Jane story, but God knows that we don't have that kind of time. So, sin number 2, ungodly music, lust and vulgarity. From secondary school, I'd already been slightly acquainted with some foreign secular musicians. My favorite at the time was Eminem, but I was familiar with Chris Brown, Rihanna and Drake, and a few others. I got to the university and we entered full beast mode. I got very hooked on trap, rap, and a lot of emo music. Now, emo music is something like, I don't know if anybody knows the names I call, somebody like Billie Eilish or that kind of very depressing music. I was hooked on that kind of thing. I was hooked on Migos, Travis Scott, Post Malone, DaBaby, and the worst of all of them were 2, Juice WRLD and Jon Bellion. Now, I even got my younger brothers and my sister into a lot of this. One of them is here. He struggled with it for a long time too. I'm responsible and I take full responsibility. At the time, a good friend of mine introduced me to Jon Bellion and a different one introduced me to Juice WRLD. I practically worshipped these 2 people. In fact, it was so bad that when Juice WRLD died, he died a few years ago, some of my friends thought I was ungrateful for not being more broken about it. But at that point, the Lord had delivered me from it. But I was not sad that he died, and people thought I was a witch. That is not this guy that I said I didn't care. They accused me of lying, that I did not need Juice WRLD music anymore, and I did not have the depression that I seemed to have when I was obsessed with him. But you see, Jon Bellion, till today, I admire his music style and creative process because, to be honest, he's actually very talented. Back in my second year, I used to worship him. Basically, I used to worship him. I knew practically all the songs. I was among the first to download his album, Glory Sound Prep, when it came out. And I loved every single song. I didn't believe a human being could make music that was so good. And I was obsessed. All this music very well affected my mentality. Lust set into my heart. And the friends I kept did not help. I would even listen to a lot of this music with Jane at the time. Remember Jane? And God is good. God knows I had become very perverted. I thought it was cool to make very vulgar jokes about people while my friends laughed. Very perverse jokes. Vulgarity was another issue. I learned how to swear. I swore, taught people to swear, swore in school, swore at home, swore in my sleep. I used to swear in my dreams. At that point, I didn't feel like it was abnormal language anymore because, for people that swear a lot, it's just a thing. You don't even feel like it's wrong. A lot of Christians even do it. It's just talking. And that's how it was for me. I cursed a lot, basically. The lust and vulgar nature manifested as pornography and masturbation as well. I struggled with addiction to masturbation like a cord around my neck. At some point, I had gotten used to the routine. Do it, feel terrible, beg God, do it tomorrow. I wouldn't have wanted to be my angel in this phase of my life. That guy suffered. Well, my deliverance is broken into 3 phases. My father, Sister Anyebet, and God's Lighthouse. Now, I think about 2018, 2019, that's when Sister Anyebet came to Enugu for law school. She got very close to our family, my father, my mother, and my siblings, but I was the one that proved rather difficult. I'll be very honest, I found her persistence rather annoying. Apart from friends I kept in school, I was very reserved, especially when it came to older people. At Kingdom Word, that's ministry in Enugu, I didn't relate with people. Same thing at church. But here was this lady that didn't seem to understand when somebody was frowning their face. She got my number and my troubles began. I had blocked both my parents and any other guardians in any form from viewing my status on WhatsApp. But for some reason, which I now believe to be God looking after me, I did not block her. I don't know why till today. And she made sure to take advantage of it. She would respond to a lot of things. We would argue. I would ask her questions, and eventually she became like a mentor figure for me. But did any of this change me? Not really, but it was in the works. She critiqued my choice of music, and that's where we fought. That's where we always fought. I took a lot of my time, like the way you would try to preach Jesus to somebody. I would explain to her why John Bellion's music was not bad. And I would have a lot to say, very beautiful arguments, like I was defending religion. She was good at Googling lyrics, and I was good at explaining them. It took me a long time to accept what she used to say to me, and I'll explain why. At the end of my second year, I think around 2019, my father got a new phone number for WhatsApp. Brethren, the Lord made it so that I forgot to block this one. It didn't cross my mind that this new number had to be blocked. My father began to see my status on WhatsApp, and needless to say, he was very troubled. Extremely troubled. This is his firstborn. So he called me one fateful evening, and you could see the worry and disappointment in his face. He spoke to me that evening, and I could feel the guilt from a half-dead conscience storm me. All the words from Sister Annabeth came to me again as I began to break down to my father, explaining why I was how I was and how I wanted to stop. God helped me that evening. The first thing I did was I deleted all the songs from before, at least all the ones I could find. Now, I'll be honest, I have to be completely honest, most of the John Bellion did not go at that time. It went later, but at that time it did not. It was December, so I took the month off social media, basically to retreat back to the Lord. I told Sister Annie I had deleted the songs. It was a chat where I could smell her relief. More deliverance came later from various things. Concerning masturbation and pornography, now, at that point, I was still struggling with being open. So I wasn't very comfortable talking to Sister Annie about anything. Of course, I had never talked to my parents about things like this. So when I had to open up about it, she directed me to Brother Michael. Brother Michael helped me on 2 separate occasions with that addiction, and glory to God, I was delivered from it. I didn't relate with him very well at the beginning, but God knows what he's doing, and he still used me. I remember the last time he tried to help me, he sent me a very long voice note, and I did not reply for like 3 days. He was the one that came and told me that I had not replied, and I had to apologize. I had to be honest and apologize that the length of the voice note scared me. Sister Anya has always been used to sending me very long voice notes. With her, I was used to it because she broke the voice note into 3 minutes, sending like 5 of those. But he sent 18 minutes at a go. And I was terrified. I was going to say. But even at that point, I still had not submitted to the family system that we have in God's Lighthouse. When did that actually happen? That was earlier this year. I moved to Lagos because of the strike, the 8-month strike that we went through with ASU. As I was going, Sister Annie again, I told her I was going to Lagos, and she told me that I should go and mingle and meet with the God's Lighthouse brethren there. Now, Lagos is not a fun place to move around. I did not want to move around. And I was still struggling with opening up with people. I didn't like meeting new people. I didn't like making friends. I did not like the idea, especially when I felt like there would be older people that would be more. So, and this was church people. I had no problem with church people at this point. God had helped me. But I did not want to have to mingle with new church people. After I was there for a while, I finally agreed. I said, okay, let me go and see the Lagos people. She directed me to Sister Diana and Sister Peace. I met them when we went for our usual meeting. It wasn't usual for me at the point. That was the first meeting. And after I came there, that's when God began to transform. The first day I went there, we evangelized to somebody, and they allowed me to talk a lot. Now, I listened to a lot of apologetics during my Christian journey, and gained, of course, over my entire life. You can't sit down at that pastor bank and not know a lot of the words. It's not possible. So I had gained a lot of it. And I used it to teach somebody that we were evangelizing to that day. And it's as if everybody was just looking at me and listening. I wasn't used to it because the system I'm used to, I'm listening all the time. Highest, I talk 5 minutes. But that day I was talking and holding the phone and recording. They didn't notice, but I was looking around wondering why nobody was stopping me. But they kept on to allow me to talk. I think that what made me fall in love with the brethren instantly. They said that, okay, after that day, of course, we sang, we enjoyed time together, we left. My own question is, when is the next meeting? When is the next meeting? At that point, I was not acquainted with the shepherd's and sheep system until I heard that they're not talking about it. I've forgotten whether it was that during the tarry period when we were talking about tabernacles. And then I met Sister Annie, I'm like, I don't have a shepherd. That one of my friends is here, she was saying that multiple people were meeting her offering shepherd food. And I felt jealous that nobody offered me anything. I begged for my own. She now said that didn't she direct me to Brother Michael? I said, you did not tell me about anything shepherdship when you gave me his number. I told you I was dealing with something. That was all. And I said that should I go and meet him? But she informed me that Brother Michael had a lot of sheep at the time. So I should just go and meet Sister Diana since I was in Lagos. Brethren, that's one of the biggest blessings I've had till date. The fact that I was able to submit to the family system and submit myself for shepherdhood. She informed me of the rules of engagement and how I have to be a part of the church family and be willing to submit myself for basically being pruned all the time. I wasn't used to people always replying my status and saying this is wrong, this is okay, or don't do this, don't do that. But I had to agree because it's not only me that God will not help. Until date, Sister Diana has continued to do that. I remember one time I posted something about me. I had cut pepper with my hands and it was beginning to disturb my entire body. And I had posted that I will never cut pepper with my hands again. As little as this thing seems, Sister Diana replied and said I should never say no. The old man in me was like, what kind of nonsense is this one? But I quickly said, yes, ma, I'm sorry, and I deleted it, even though I did not fully understand. But little by little, she has been a blessing to me up until now. Basically, I'm thanking God for the deliverance that has brought into my life through my father, Sister Annie, Brother Michael, Sister Diana, and God's Lighthouse. Praise the Lord.
Thanks for watching. For more stories of God's transforming power as well as all the life-changing content, do check out the links in the description. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, turn on your notification bell, and share. God bless you.